The main reason your business growth is at a revenue plateau is not a marketing problem. It's a neurological bottleneck that's causing stuck states of being. I'm going to show you exactly how to rewire your mind to remove these unconscious and subconscious limitations that are stopping you from successful growth. Grinding harder or more budget in marketing is not going to fix an internal battle where you have an unconscious part of you that's fighting against your conscious goals. You need to rewire the neural pathways in your brain to make it so that you can achieve all of your goals and have everything in alignment. Most business owners have a great work ethic. They know the importance of marketing, growth strategy, but there's a part of their unconscious that's at odds with all their goals. We can self-sabotage or allow limiting beliefs to stunt our progress. And really, this comes from the internal parts of us trying to have a way of protecting us. So our unconscious and our motivations, we're trying to protect ourselves. We're trying to have a positive intention there. So there's a part of us that's trying to stop us from maybe pain. We are very much wired for pain avoidance. So there's usually a part of us that thinks, hey, if I do this, I will experience pain. And that creates an internal conflict because sometimes you have to do things and push through levels of pain. Now, I've been there myself. I ran a company that I grew to consistent 6-figure months, and I had a 7-figure exit. But my progress was slowed down initially due to a lot of internal conflict. It took me way longer to get there just to start than it should have. And then once I started, I still had a lot longer to go until I got those numbers. And a lot of it came down to my own internal conflict, parts of me that were slowing me down. Once I got everything aligned and I had my connection to God, I had my purpose, along with my identity and resolving those internal conflicts, all of the business flourished. And it truly became an amazing business. If you want to work with me one-on-one, you can go to the link in the description and go to my website. You can watch a video on how I do things, and you can book a free discovery call with me. This is for men who want to break their internal glass ceilings and really get their identity aligned with their purpose so that they can build a purpose-driven business and really grow to the next level, push through all the barriers the same way that I did. I want you to think about this like a car with a manual transmission. So a car is all set to go forward. Manual transmission, everything's intact, wheels are good, brakes are good, everything's good to go. But what happens when you try to drive it and you forget to take the emergency brake off? Almost anyone I know who's ever driven a manual transmission car has done this, where they just forget that they had their e-brake pulled up, and then before you know it, you're trying to drive and you just feel this just grinding. You can hear the grinding, you can feel the grinding, you're moving slowly, and you're like, what is going on with my car? And then you look down and your e-brake is on, and you're like, oh, okay, there we go. If you didn't put your e-brake back down, it leads to extreme danger. So you have to stop, take the e-brake off, and then you can drive properly. Now the car, it just can't function properly when the e-brake is on. It just can't do it. There's a internal friction, right? There's a friction. There's an internal resistance, internal conflict. It's just like we can't function driving our business growth and accomplishing our goals if we're not in full alignment internally. It's the same thing. It's the same way that this works. You basically have to remove all that internal conflict, all that internal resistance, and have full alignment so that you can drive forward. So what we need to do here is what's called a parts integration. This comes from neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, where we reintegrate a part of our unconscious that's holding us back. I'm going to go through this in 5 simple steps that you can follow. And after you go through these 5 steps, you will feel a difference. Now, sometimes there are parts of us that we need to do parts integration with, and we have more than one part that needs to be done. And the process of getting to this part is a little bit nuanced. And again, I do this all in my one-on-ones, but I'm going to give you the 5 steps now so that you can go through. So what I want you to do first is identify the goal where you're feeling just stuck, where you're feeling that resistance. Like, think about the goal. Maybe the goal is you want to get to 6 figures a month in your business, and maybe right now you're at 30K a month, something like that. So the goal is to get to 6 figures a month consistently, and that's a pretty large goal to go from 30 to that, but maybe that's the goal. And so you know what you need to do to get there. You know you have the strategy like we mentioned. So step one is to identify what is holding you back and then acknowledge the resistance. So identify the goal and acknowledge that you have resistance to getting there. So I identify and acknowledge that there's a part of you that has this resistance. Invite it to come forward to have a conversation with you. Might feel weird at first, but just do it. Invite this part of you that's resisting to come forward and just be there and talk with you. Okay? That's step one. So it's identifying the goal and then inviting this part of you forward. Then what you want to do is ask it what it wants and what its function is for you. Make sure you frame it in a positive and not a negative, because all parts of us have a positive intention. So sometimes if this part of you comes forward and you say something like, it says something like, I don't want to feel pain. That's a negative. I don't want to feel something. So frame it in a positive. And what happens then is it will shift. Maybe instead of I don't want to feel pain or I don't want to fail, maybe it'll be I want to be safe or something like that. You'll find that there's a positive framing for it, and that will get you to the root of what's going on here and what the motivation is. So that's step two, is to ask this part of you, what is its function for you? Make sure that you frame it in the positive. So if you get a negative response, then ask it if you can frame it in the positive. Okay, step three, keep figuring out the deeper value or goal it wants until you reach it. So if maybe it says, I want to feel safe. Okay, once you feel safe, what else do you want? What would be an even better outcome for you? What else? What's the deeper outcome here? What's the deeper motivation? And it might be something deeper. You might start to find, and then just keep going deeper until you get to the deepest level. Now, once you get to the deepest level and you have that goal or value, it might be a value, and it might be a value that it finds that is, that is related to the goal. So this can happen sometimes with like success failure dynamics and things like that. So step four, once you have the goal and value, tell the part of you how this will actually work perfectly with your other goals. And then ask this part of you. So what you want to do is tell this part of you, hey, this will actually align perfectly with what I'm trying to do. And then ask this part of you if it wants to be part of the process of achieving the goals. And then ask it if it will keep you on track with staying in alignment with the intention of the goal. So you're basically asking this part of you to work with you, to kind of integrate and work with you. Now, if it says yes and agrees, then you're done. If there's resistance and this part of you says no, just repeat the process again. What happens here sometimes is you'll have to repeat the process and go back to step three, and you probably just need to drill down deeper. You probably just didn't drill deep enough, and that's why you're feeling still some resistance. Like maybe you didn't get to like the core value or core state. So then what you want to do is you want to make sure that you are pretty clear on this. Like you have a clear yes. Again, if you don't, go through and then you can redo it and you'll get there. It might take you more than one try to fully get there. Now, once you've done parts integration work, you're going to unlock your potential. You're not going to have this internal friction anymore. And internal friction, internal resistance is what leads us to self-sabotage. So this is going to start to dissolve that self-sabotage that you were experiencing before. Self-sabotage most of the time comes from a parts mismatch, a parts misalignment like this, and you need parts integration. So the resistance will start to melt away. You'll become more decisive, and the growth will come much easier. Now, I know because I did this type of work myself, and I've done this work with many other men, and I've seen them unlock their potential, even just through parts integration. Now, what is the cost to you monetarily, psychologically, spiritually, for you and your growth if you do nothing and keep running your business as is? I want you to think about that. This is a crucial way to get clear on how important this really is for you, your well-being, your family, and your company. Because the reality is there's always a cost to just doing things the same. Maybe the business is doing well. Maybe it's doing $30K a month, and that's great. And maybe that's all you want. But if you know that you want to grow this thing to six figures, then what's the cost of not doing this work? Well, the cost of not doing this work is staying the same and being unhappy because you're not achieving the goals that you know that you have the potential to achieve. And that's a huge thing. So you have to be real clear on what your goals actually are and know that you can achieve those. So the next steps here are to go through the steps and just let me know in the comments, how did it work for you? How are you feeling afterwards? Did you find any challenges with it? Please leave a comment on how it went, and I'll reply to all the comments with my feedback. I'm happy to give you my feedback, help you through the process, and talk through it, because you're going to unlock your potential, and this is going to allow you to just grow your business, grow your career, and then you know that you'll be doing it in a way that is right with God.